What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So, I got done watching the second episode of season 2 of Invincible, and I'll give you my general impression. I thought this episode was fantastic. It really delivered. It did not miss. It's a banger episode, and it's just as good as the first episode. There were a couple of things in this episode that didn't quite work, but I'll get into some of it in the spoiler territory. But I love that they still continue the consequences that Omni-Man have left behind. Mark is trying to clean up the mess that his father made, especially trying to earn the trust of Omni-Man's enemies that he was responsible for, but they're taking their frustrations out on him because Mark is the son of Omni-Man, and he has done a lot of damages that cannot be undone. But he wants to prove to them that he is not their enemy and that he is here to help and that he's nothing like his father. And I love that they still continue to continue the storyline with Eve and how she's trying to be the best hero as she can, and how this is linking back to the special that they did a while back for her story, which I got to rewatch that special again because I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't finish it, and I want to rewatch it to refresh my memory. And I love how they still continue the storyline with Debbie and how and all the pain that she's going through emotionally and mentally, and knowing that she's going to have to seek help and talk to someone because her son Mark is not willing to open up to her. If he's trying so hard to avoid a normal life, he wants to put his mission first before himself because he's trying so hard to be a hero. He's literally gaining confidence, and he has won not just one fight, but 3 fights in a row. It looks like he's getting stronger and stronger by the minute, and he's tapping into the dark side a little bit. And I will go into that scene in context and he's tapping into dark side without Cecil's knowledge, and it's intense. Overall, this episode is amazing, and I'm going to get into the spoiler territory, and I'm going to recap what went down in this episode. So if you have not seen episode 2 yet, best be sure to watch the second episode and come back later after you're done. And be aware you have been warned. During his graduation, Mark defeats Doc Seismic and his Magnanites. In the summer, he continues his work as Invincible. Tension grows between him and Debbie when she realizes he is only doing it to avoid his father's legacy. She confronts Cecil's about Mark working for him, but is shocked to see Donald is alive. Now, this graduation scene was so good. We see the actor who played the dad in Family Matters. I can't remember the actor's name at the top of my head, but you'll know who I'm talking about. And he was also played the cop in Die Hard. And it was great to see him being an addition to the episode and being the guy who was giving his speeches and giving this historical, inspirational speech. And the fight between Mark and Doc Seismic was pretty epic, even though it lasts for only 2 minutes. But Doc Seismic himself, I cannot believe he is still alive. Because the last time we saw him, it was during the fight of Mount Rushmore when he was fighting Eve in Invincible. And the last time we saw him get killed off in the melted lava. But apparently, according to Doc Seismic, he was transported into another dimension and he was able to make friends along the way. And he wants to settle the score against Mark. And he wants to take down historical monuments for whatever the reason. But I'm not going to go into it too much because that's just his thing. And the 2 scenes with the graduation and the Battle of the Washington Monument, it's very reminiscent between the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where Peter just is late for graduation after his crime fighting in the opening, and then in the second one was where Mark is fighting in the Washington Monument, which was big of a callback to Spider-Man Homecoming when Peter was in the middle of a fight in the Washington Monument, which was a cool callback without they did that without being too on the nose, and I thought it was very subtle. And especially the scene where Mark and Debbie were having a big talk about a summer vacation and what his plans is, and Debbie wants to take a vacation with just him and with her and Mark. They want to take a time for themselves, but Mark refuses to because he wants to put the mission first before his life. He's not trying to live a life. He's not trying to take a summer vacation time for himself. He still is trying to prove that he's not like his father, and he wants to be a superhero, and he's willing to take orders from Cecil, whatever it takes. Now we see that Debbie is now confronting Cecil and telling him what the hell are you doing? Why are you ordering him around? Why are you not letting him live a life? Because he's now turning his back on it. And Cecil's like, no, don't worry. I'm looking out for him. He still is in good hands by me. Trust me. But now we see that Debbie saw Donald, which we last saw him die by Omni-Man's hands after blowing himself up and making himself sacrifice. and act like nothing happened. And how the hell Donald is alive? It's insane that we don't know. The question is he a robot? Is he like a clone that Cecil had done? Well, we don't know that for sure. Or is he another variant from another dimension? I don't know what Cecil has got up his sleeve, but I believe that we will find out very soon. It's crazy. After fixing an apartment in Chicago, Eve argues with her father, believing that he cannot accept she can help with her powers. Now, in the scene where Eve is now rebuilding the big mess that Omni-Man had caused in Chicago, the construction is now mouthing off to her and saying, "Why the hell are you doing our job? We don't need your help." Blah blah blah. We see that the mother is telling the construction to go screw themselves. Like, no, she's helping out everyone in the city more than you'll ever have. And now she's asking Eve to rebuild that playground that the city refuses to do. And now she's volunteering and to help out and rebuild the playground for her and her daughter to play in. Now we see that her parents are struggling with financial problems with the house and everything and the food. So she creates the food to help out the family, and she was fine with it, but she does not want that to happen because her father has so much pride that he's refusing to have handouts. And we were like, what the hell? I mean, we already know that he's a total asshole and he's very old fashioned and that he doesn't need superpowers to come and help out solve problems. And we see now he's working at a fast food restaurant because he lost his job. And then now we see that Eve is like creating a gold apple to sell it so that he can make a lot of money to get by, but he still refuses it. So he tosses it in the trash and tell her to go fuck off. Like again, like I like the mom, but she's too scared to stand up to her husband, and she's too afraid to say anything. But the father is the total dickhead, and I liked how they were able to link back the storyline with the special, which I still need to finish the rest of it because we already know that Eve is adopted, and that's not her birth parents. The stowaway Martian who has taken the place of astronaut Ross Levinston is inspired by Martian Man's heroics and joins the Guardians as the Shape Smith. Now we get the introduction of a new character who is a Martian who's taken the place by the astronaut that we last saw in season 1 that never really came back home. And now we probably gonna have to assume that the astronaut that we saw is pretty much dead. And then we see the Martian just watching the TV of the Martian Man's heroics, and he's inspired by it. And now he wants to blend in and become a superhero and wants to join the Guardians. And we see the Guardians meet up with Shape Smith, and he started off a little bit suspicious that he comes a little bit off, but it was so odd that they suddenly brought him in so quickly, and that like really you seriously couldn't do a background check on this guy and you can't ask any questions, and when they do they just simply went along with it. I don't know, I feel like they should have handled it better, but that's just me. And I have a feeling that there's going to be more to this guy that we don't know, and I'm curious to see where this storyline goes with Shape Smith now that we got a new addition to the team. And we see that Rex now know that Kate, the woman that has the ability to duplicate, is sleeping with Immortal, which that was insane, and it was such a shock that now Immortal is sleeping with Kate. I did not see that one coming. And Kate tells Rex that I'm not your girlfriend. We're not together. I'm not here to kiss your boo boo. And that was just hilarious how they've handled that scene. It was a shocking moment, but poor Rex, poor guy. Now we get into the scene with the battle between Mark and Darkwing 2, which is he's supposed to be the assistant of the original hero Darkwing that got killed off by Omni-Man. And now he's all about getting his hands dirty and doing whatever it takes to save the city that was pretty much a knockoff from Gotham. And he's pretty much a knockoff from Batman, even though he's not their Batman. Darkwing 1 was pretty much their Batman. But now he confronts Mark. He was able to hold his own by wearing an exosuit to take on Mark, who didn't try to level the same playing field, and throws him into the Shadowverse. And Mark is just being a total badass and kick the living crap out of Darkwing 2. And he taps into his dark side and telling him that you have no idea what I'm capable of. He taps into the dark side without Cecil's knowledge, and it was like, oh my god, is this a foreshadowing where he's slowly becoming like his father? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's just bluffing or just messing with them, but who knows? We'll see what happens because he's slowly becoming part of the dark side that he fears that he will be. Mark meets with Caesar, who explains he must appease the Atlanteans for Aquari's death. In a trial by combat, Mark battles a kaiju and is injured when a roar causes him an auditory pain. This scene itself, where now he's gonna have to make amends with the Atlanteans by marrying the queen, but then later find out that that's not the case. They got rid of that whole thing, and then they wanted him in the trial by combat by battling a kaiju, which took everybody off guard. The battle between him and the kaiju was absolutely epic, and this is just this way to earn back their trust and make amends with them, and try to let them know that he is not their enemy and he's not like his father. We see that the kaiju is now attacking the Atlanteans, and now it's out of their control, and they mess with things that they don't understand. Caesar gave him an order to leave the mission, but Mark refuses to. He wants to save the Atlanteans because they're about to get slaughtered. Women and children are getting killed. But Caesar's like, it's not our problem. They knew what they were getting themselves into, and they tried to kill you. But Mark says, screw that. He decides to help them, and he finally earned their trust. And I love that he was able to take it into his own hands, and that he doesn't always have to follow Caesar's orders. He has to follow his instincts and do what's right. And I loved how they done it. I'm glad he could have just walked away and just simply say screw it because they tried to kill me. But you know what? He saved them anyway because it was the right thing to do. And that's one of the best things I love about Mark. And I love how they still continue the relationship growth between Mark and Amber. She thought she was going to fly to Paris, but no, he flew her to Vegas on the Eiffel Tower because if he flew her to Paris on a fast hyper speed, it would have tore her apart. And dude, this was a shocking moment in this episode where now Eve found out that the playground that she rebuilt was unstable and it sunk, and a lot of people were injured, and she was responsible for it. We find out by her father in giving her the newspaper headline that she was responsible for the damages and the injuries that for the civilians, especially with the daughter and the mother. Oh my God, that took me off guard because he's trying to make a point that not everything can be solved problems with superpowers, and you can't just take it into your own hands. Oh my God, that was just like crazy. I mean, he's an asshole and out of line. He does make a point that not everything can be solved that way, that you have to like keep yourself in check and learn that there are consequences. Even if you did something good, you will do more harm than good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hate the father. The father's a total dickhead, but it is what it is. Now we see that in the scene where Debbie's at the real estate house try to sell the house with a two married couple, and we see that the husband is being so much of an asshole to her wife and going by everything her husband says, and then we see her being so angry and be like, she's not a pet. It's just a big reminder of what Omni-Man had done to her, that he treated her as a pet. We see her back at the house having a big breakdown and just going full on rage and just destroying the cabinet, because early on the cabinet just wouldn't close all the way and it's frustrating her, and she just fucking just breaks down and cry, and she's angry and furious. And we see that Mark is now giving her comfort and try to be there for her. Now we know that she's going to have to seek help and she's going to have to talk to someone because she can't hide it any longer. She's going to go nuts and insane, and it's going to fall into madness, and all hell will break loose. So we get into the mid-credit scene with Eggstrom, seeing what he's really up to. Apparently, he traveled to another dimension where he's trying to find answers of how to defeat Omni-Man and how to destroy him, including Mark himself. And he's got big plans. And we see the female version of Caesar and Donald coming up to say, why are you here? What the hell are you doing here? And then Eggstrom's like, you know what? Do your job and bring the justice to the things he had done. And he just disappears, and he's not going to help him break out of that place, of that facility. And then it cuts to the credits. So it seems like that Eggstrom still got a big plans up his sleeve, and he's going to try to find any resources to fully destroy Omni-Man for good, including his son Mark. He still wants revenge on what Mark and his father did on his world, and I can't wait to see where this is going to go next. So we're only like 2 episodes left into season 2. before the mid-season finale because we're going to be going into a break during the holidays, and the second half of season 2 will be back on in early 2024, hopefully, but we don't have an official date yet. Overall, this episode is incredible. I love how it continues to not hold back on the consequences. I love that it doesn't get resolved so quickly and it needed to be earned, and it continues to have legs and it had like the momentum. I just can't wait to see where this is going to go in the next 2 episodes. And hopefully we'll see where Omni-Man, our Omni-Man from this world, is at. We still don't know where the hell he's at. I have a feeling that we will see him at some point. It might happen in the mid-season finale. Who knows? We'll see. I'm excited. I can't wait. This show continues to not disappoint. What did you think of this episode? Did you love this episode? Or do you agree with me? Or do you disagree and you thought that this is a disappointing episode and it just did not live up to the expectations? Jump down in the comment section below and leave me your thoughts. I would really appreciate it. And if you like this review, hit the like button. And if you want to follow my social media, the link tree will be down in the description down below where you find my social media platforms there. And if you subscribe to my channel for more videos to come, I would really appreciate your guys' support. I hope you guys have a great weekend, great day, wherever you're from. Stay safe and take care.